everybody, Nick Marzock with Full Compass. I am sitting here in Red Caiman Studios with the owner of Red Caiman Studios and chief engineer Jesse Naus. Jesse and I go way back.
I'm allowed to laugh, right?
You're allowed to laugh, yeah. There's a lot of, you can tell, there's a lot of time, money, and I'm sure tears invested into this place.
Yeah.
Like when you set out in, what'd you say, 2006 or 2007?
Yeah, 7, 8.
What did you have? Like how do you start a studio with, is it more about the room or is it you're bringing all your gear?
I'd gone to school for this. I was always really big into buying gear that would be a long-term investment.
Yeah.
So not kind of the flash in the pan, like, isn't this cool? But I always bought stuff that I thought was going to last a long time.
Yeah.
And I think because of that, I was able to keep a lot of it and kind of transition it from spot to spot. Every time I've bought gear, I've always thought about buying, like, what's that core stuff that is going to give us a lot of bang for our buck. We bought an 87 really early on, which is a pretty big investment. And yes, you could buy a lot of SM57s for one U87, but like the U87 it was kind of that staple that let us do everything we needed to on certain parts of the project. So like we bought an 87 pretty early on. That was originally a good large diaphragm condenser, like something like a U87 or something like that. And then a really good channel strip. That's just a really good investment because now you can record vocals.
Yeah.
We put an 87 and an SM7 next to each other. And there's no question they're different. But honestly, not as much as like, you want to say like, it's this iconic large diaphragm condenser. Yeah. And then it's this, iconic dynamic. Like they're literally as different as two mics can be. One's black, one's silver, one's shock mounted, one's not, one's on the axis, one's off axis, one's multi-pattern, one's not.
Yeah.
Everything about them is different. And they do sound different, but they both sounded really, really good. And I kind of went, okay, this mic is really intriguing to me. We got 4 Neumann TLM 193s. I've used a lot of the TLM mics from them. I spent a long time with TLM 170s. They're just an absolutely stellar mic. I, through some random situations, got my hand on these 4 TLM 193s. And I remember when I got them, I went, oh, these look like U89s.
Yeah.
The U89's a little bit smaller than the 87, and these look like U89s. I remember putting them up and just going, these mics are great. Like, they're great mics.
Yeah. That's kind of the thing I love about like your approach and what I learned from you, because like before I met you, I was always under the impression of price equals quality. And your big thing is always like, does it sound good? Is it right for the project?
Yeah.
Not to get into like the George Martin, like we're gonna put a microphone in the washing machine, but like.
I love that you brought up George Martin, who I like absolutely is an idol of mine. And then you managed to say he put microphones into washing machines, which he never did.
I just lost every Beatles fan.
Yeah, right. But I think the thing for me has always been the gear's really important. Like I think so many people that I meet are either complete gearheads, where the gear is everything. There is nothing else other than, well, you want it to sound good, you have to have this gear. And then there's the other school, which is completely anti-gear, which is, you don't need any of that. I kind of just never prescribe to either of the two. I want gear because the gear does what I need it to do. Everything at the end of the day is about creating something cool. We're all in this industry deep down because we want to be creative people that do cool things and experiment and try to make new things happen that haven't happened before. I do believe the equipment matters, but it matters because we're trying to create something. And at the end of the day, that's the only thing that matters is like what we're trying to create.
Yep.
One of the things we teach all the time is signal chain.
Yep.
A lot of people when they're starting out think the signal chain starts with the microphone and ends with the speakers. I always go and I expand onto that with my students and I'm like, no. The signal chain starts with the song. Like, if the song isn't good, guess what? I don't care what you put it through, it's never gonna be good. So having a song that's worth recording that's everything. Yeah. Then, you get the players. And how do they play? Then you get their instruments and the quality of the instruments and how they're set up and that kind of stuff. And then you get the room they're in.
Yeah.
All of that stuff to me is so significantly more important than like some of the things people focus on.
Yeah.
But if you get all that right, if you don't get that right, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But if you get all of that right, then having the equipment that helps you capture that in the most effective way and translates as well as possible. For me, the microphone is just like, I'm crazy about what microphone we're using and where we're putting it. And then after the microphone, my next thing that I'm going to just go crazy for is preamps, because they're a color palette. It's just like bringing in a different guitar.
Yep.
We're all trying to create this thing that, let's be honest, doesn't really always want to be created. And if we're not on the same team, it's never going to work.
No. I have a request. Whenever I do my next project here,
Yeah.
can I get a set of S1s that I control? Even if it's like a Little Tykes. Like where the kid's in the back seat with the steering wheel thinking that he's
I
driving.
mean, I'll make you a deal. I'll give you a couple of S1s. I'm not going to plug them in, but you can pretend like you're running them if that would make you feel better.
It'll be a placebo effect where
Like,
I think
I'll
I hear
even
louder.
plug them into power so the lights come on.
Jesse Naus, thank you so
Thanks
much.
so much.
Yeah. By the way, go to fullcompass.com right now for the best deals on live gear, musical instruments, lighting, anything you need. It's at Full Compass.